Welcome to another Insider Special Report. It's the Texas Tech Basketball Hoop Scoop. I'm Jarret Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Mighty Joe, how you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty good, Jarret. How about yourself?
Good. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little jealous. I saw the press conference video from the post game after Texas Tech beat Oklahoma, and man, Chris Beard gave you a lot of props for your hat, for your, as he called it, the Inspector Gadget hat. But I assume it's your fedora that you rock from time to time. That's awesome. So I decided to rock a hat. I don't have any cool Inspector Gadget hats like Mighty Joe. I don't, as Chris Beard said, I don't have the confidence to pull that off. But I am. This is basketball related. I am wearing a hat. I wore this specifically for this video. I got this during the trip to New York to cover Tech playing Duke there at Madison Square Garden. Midtown Comics, the coolest comic book store I've ever been to. And yes, I'm that much of a nerd that I have a young son who's into comics, but I'm still, you know, into superheroes and all that. But so I had to break out my own hat for one of these videos, Joe, because I saw all the love you got from Coach Beard.
Well, yeah, that's cool, man. Tell you what would be really cool would be a Rucker Park hat.
Oh yeah.
You know, I wonder if one of those must exist somewhere. Oh, yeah. I'll probably check that out on eBay. Yeah, it was an interesting press conference. Very, very pleased. Any nice words from a very kind man and Chris Beard, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he always has something funny to say like that in those press conferences. But you know, it's easy to be in a I guess a good mood, or at least a lighthearted mood, when you move to 14-1, 3-0 in the Big 12. The Red Raiders defeated Oklahoma in what was a hard-fought game. And those two teams just really beat the heck out of each other, Joe. What was your main takeaway from the Red Raiders win and just where they sit right now?
Yeah, it was a true battle right from the get-go. You know, it reminded me a little bit of the Texas game last year. It didn't go to overtime, and it wasn't quite that close down the stretch.
It was physical.
But it was physical and just a war. I mean, I think in both of those games, Tech got down kind of a little bit early in the first half and just kind of had to scratch and claw and fight their way back. And in the case of Oklahoma, they just gradually took that game over in the second half. They kind of validated their reputation as being a second half team.
Yes.
You know, and why they are such a good second half team, I don't know. I mean, you can talk about coaching adjustments.
Sure.
It looks like the Tech brain trust is pretty good. Whatever it is, and Coach Beard will naturally deflect all that onto the players and say it's the players who are making the plays and they're the ones that are doing it. But, you know, however you want to slice it, it seems like if Tech is within shouting distance at halftime, unless they're playing Duke, you know, they've got a really, really good shot at pulling out the win. So a strong second half from Tech.
Yeah, I believe the stat is 4-0 when trailing at half now for the Red Raiders, because they were actually led Duke for most of that game. I think it was like 23 minutes or something like that. Yep. They led that game. But yeah, look, from my perspective, they tightened up the defense, some of the rotations, which I think you mentioned in your Yeager shots. I thought that was right on. And then they improved on the boards, because they were just getting crushed on the boards in the first half. And Oklahoma's a very good rebounding team. So I think Coach Beard mentioned that in that same post game presser, where he was giving you so much love for the Inspector Gadget hat. But then you got to tip the cap to Jarrett Culver. I mean, that's really been the formula. Great defense. And then Jarrett Culver taking over late, which is what he did. And he got a nice assist from Brandon Francis there, who stepped up. As he said in that post-game presser, he's been kind of in a slump, and he has been. But, man, he stepped up when they really needed him.
Yeah, he really did. You know, it was a bounce-back game for him, too. You know, yeah. He had the only bad game he's had all season was against Kansas State. Culver? Yep, Culver. Really responded from that. You're probably not going to see him have two bad games in a row all season long. He's just too good for that. And, you know, I mean, a career high in rebounds, 13 rebounds. Yeah, I keep on talking about the guys rebounding. You know, I mean, and that's I'm a rebounding guy. So you got a 6'5", 6'6" guard who's pulling down 13 boards against a physical team like Oklahoma. Man, I just eat that up. So that's great. Brandon, yeah, he's just, you know, and Beard talked about this in the press conference. When he's kind of dialed in, or when he's losing himself in the game, as he likes to put it, then he becomes a huge factor. And if he's not, then you still can rely on him to play some pretty good defense, but he's just not going to be into the flow on offense. But when he is, he hit 8 points in the second half. Critical stuff. They wouldn't have won that game without Brandon coming on in the second half and playing like that. Davide had a great game early on. He was a true point guard in that first half. He was getting inside, dishing, looking for Norrance, found him a couple of times, a few times. I was pleased to see that too, because I believe that's been a little bit of a deficiency for Tech, is a reliable ball handler who is looking to get other people involved first. In other words, a true point guard. And that's what Davide looked like. So I was happy to see that.
All right, now coming up, another big test, road test. Red Raiders go down to Austin, where, look, they haven't won, I believe, in the last 23 tries. I actually had the opportunity to interview Jason Sasser earlier, and he's told us he was a grandfather. All right?
Oh, no.
He was on the team, the last team to beat Texas in Austin. So that puts it in perspective. 1996 was the last time. The Red Raiders actually beat UT 3 times that year. It was a magical year for Texas Tech. There, and Jason Sasser was a big part of that. But that really put it, I mean, 23 is just, that's enough. But to hear that a guy who's a grandfather now was on the team, and obviously a big part of the team, that was the last team to win in Austin. I mean, that, to me, this seems like the stat doesn't measure up, because yeah, UT's had some very good basketball teams in that stretch, and Texas has had some stretches where they weren't so good, but still you would think, just with the math involved, the probability that the Red Raiders would have stole one there between then and now. So, you know, obviously with Chris Beard being a UT graduate, though he spent more time here at Tech, he has just a tremendous amount of ties to both schools. You know, this has to be really important to Chris Beard, and you know, he's going to say just for the season, and I believe that. But also, I mean, they're very aware of the history of the program. This would make, obviously, some history for this program. It would be another hurdle to get over. So I think this game is a huge deal, Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really the case. And behind closed doors, there's definitely some emphasis on this. And, you know, I just must say, with the grandfather Sasser deal that you brought in there, thanks a lot, man. That hurts me real bad. Too, so, but yeah, I mean, you know, Texas, even when Tech is the better team, you know, and well, like last year, Texas just they play well against Tech. You know, I mean, that game, especially there, but even in Lubbock, you remember last year where that game went to overtime. You know, and then I think Tech beat them in the first round of the Big 12 tournament last year. But bottom line, it seems like whatever the situation, whenever Tech goes to Austin to play basketball, regardless of which team is better than the other, Tech's struggle. So yeah, it would be a huge monkey off the back, and they've already knocked off a couple of those monkeys this year, so let's knock off another one.
All right, well, what do you think is going to be the key? What do they need to do? Obviously, play defense, guys need to step up, but I mean, what specifically with UT, what's going to be the key?
Yeah, Tech can't turn the ball over. Texas, it's one thing that they do pretty well. They create about 15 turnovers per game. And Tech has been really, in conference play, has been on a little bit of a skid in terms of turning the ball over. Had a couple of games where they weren't bad, like the last.
Virginia actually
wasn't terrible. No, it wasn't. And they were kind of okay against Oklahoma in that regard. But that's going to be a dicey area. I mean, I think if Tech turns the ball over more than 14 times, then I think this game is going to be very close. If they can hold that down under, say, 14 or less, then I think they're probably going to be in good shape. You know, Matt Mooney is going to be key in this because, I mean, he's been, honestly, a little bit of a turnover machine. I think he's got 38 assists, 30 turnovers, something like that. You know, out of your guard, you need a better assist-turnover ratio than that. So we want Matt to be really solid in his floor game. And if he's able to do that, then that's going to cut down on the turnovers right there. Regardless, this is going to be another grinded out, low-scoring game. Tech hasn't allowed anybody to score in Big 12 play 60 points against them yet. And Texas won't score 60 against Tech either, I don't think. They may not get much over 50. But then again, Tech is probably not going to score a whole lot against Texas either. Texas plays pretty good defense. They create those turnovers. They got Jackson Hayes, who's a good rim protector. The guy came out of nowhere. Is now on NBA draft charts, so it's going to be another war. It is.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the game. It's 1 p.m. Saturday. I think it's on the Longhorn Network. Sorry to all the Tech fans out there. Sorry for that. But yeah, I mean, look, if they can make history again, it'll just be. I hate to say this because I'm definitely not bored with them making history, but it's just like they make new history every week, seemingly under Chris Beard. So, but I'm still excited to see. You know, it's a great rivalry, in-state rivalry. I can't wait to see how Texas Tech does in Austin. Red Raiders 14-1, Lone loss coming to #1 Duke in New York. 3-0 alone atop the Big 12. Rolling. Can't wait to see what happens in Austin. Mighty Joe, great stuff from you as always. Thank y'all for watching, and until next time.